The Blocktalk Podcast started because of my passion for the property management industry. I wanted to start a conversation and add some value within the industry with a diverse range of people and professionals who can add something extra. As we start out, my aim is that the podcast offers some useful insight into a variety of views, opinions, thoughts, and foresights from our guests, who include business leaders and industry experts. If you enjoy the podcast and want to find out any other information, head on over to brianwelsh.co.uk. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Blocktalk Podcast with me, Brian Welsh. Today I'm delighted to welcome today's guest, Stephen O'Neill. Stephen is the founder and chair of Newton Property Management. I've known Stephen for many, many years. He was previous founder of O'Neill Lettings in 1995, going on to sell a business in 2001. Stephen has seen a raft of changes throughout his time, and he's on the podcast today to chat to us about it. Stephen, how are you?
I'm great, Brian, and thanks for having me on, and thanks for the lovely welcome.
It's good to get you. Good to get you here. Okay, so let's just get straight into it. How has the landscape of the property and construction industry evolved since the days when your dad worked as a chartered surveyor? What are the biggest changes you've seen in the way projects are managed and delivered today compared to his time?
That's
tell us a bit about your dad, first of all.
My dad started William O'Neill and Partners, what became a 10-branch chartered surveying and estate agency business throughout Scotland. I started in 1956, the year I was born, and there for 68 years ago. And he's quite a go-getter, my dad, a very gentle guy. Built up a lovely business. He was, in fact, the second estate agent in Glasgow in 1962.
Okay.
He owned O'Neill and Partners estate agency in the West End. And he was a gentle guy with a bit of vision. Okay. And he built up a great business for himself. Okay. Dad latterly spent his last 10 or 15 years of his career working with myself.
Okay.
And as I said to you earlier, Dad retired at 75. He passed away last year at the age of 93. And given the benefit Dad had to me in my own business, Dad got a salary till the day he died.
Yeah.
Just good. And I still owe him.
Yeah, no, I think we would all do, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
Our fathers and our parents. Okay, so tell me how you think the industry's evolved from since then to now then.
I think that's an interesting point because, we actually do the same thing.
Yeah.
And we are doing the same thing as my dad did in his apprenticeship days in an old-fashioned factory around the corner, Miller, McRae and Stewart in Newton Place, I think it was. And we do the same thing that we did 50, 75, 100 years ago. It's just we do it differently.
Yeah, sure.
The problem with well-established businesses, though, that they can be stuck in the mire and stuck in the way that they do things. I always feel in business people, I think, spend more time arranging their holidays than they do rearranging their businesses. Mm-hmm. And it's a very difficult thing, I think, to do, to get out of the way of doing it and evolve and change. And this is something I'm sure that you've seen. You must meet many people with the product that you've got, which is the backbone to the property factoring business Scotland-wide. But actually there's a reticence about doing it just because they can't be bothered trying to change, trying to learn how to change and trying to evolve. And they are the people that will be left behind.
Yeah, okay. So right, they're doing the same thing.
Yep.
They just used to do it very manually and in a very, very different way than the way they do it today.
I mean, the telephone was a great thing, going round and delivering letters, 100 years ago. The email was a great thing when it came in 40 years ago.
Yeah.
And actually, the one thing I would say, though, about change is the change of pace in your sector is incredible. Yeah. It changes so rapidly every 6 months.
Yeah.
And a good business will be on the cusp of that change all the time. And I genuinely like to believe we at Newton at last are. Yeah. I felt for many years, and I think you will agree with this, that we were a bit slow, a bit reticent, a bit wary about investing that kind of money. Are you kidding? But it's only when you see the success of your investment and also partnering people like you.
Yeah.
And it's not buying your product, it's partnering.
Yeah.
It's what's going to make your business a great success, and trusting you.
Yeah. No, do you know, at the end of the day, right, you can talk about this with everything or part of a business from a partnership point of view. If you see something as a cost, you're never, ever going to get the benefit of it, because you've got to see something as an opportunity or something that can make something better. I mean, talking about something completely away from tech, I was playing golf with a couple of clients the other day, and they were amazed to know that we have a people and culture director in CPL, and we are 32 staff. And we were 15 staff when Helen came on board. And everyone's like, but how can you afford the overhead of someone like that in your organization? And I'm like, so, okay, tell me how much it costs to replace 5 people in recruitment fees. What does it cost? 25, 35 grand. You put in someone like that, and you're getting an entire, your business entirely changes, because your culture changes and all of these sort of things. So that's, for me, an example of where I don't see that as a cost. I see that as value. Yeah. So if you see something like tech or whatever it is in your business as value, then you'll use it. And it comes back to the point you made about, business owners are too busy organizing their holidays and restructuring their business. Yeah, I get that one. But that's the thing people need to keep thinking about. Do you know what I mean? As you grow, what is it that's actually going to make your business or help your business move forward?
And that is a point, and going back to me, I like to go back to me. I'm 68, but I try at 68 to be much better at that, and to be much more of a visionary. And it's taken me years and years to learn that, or to understand that, the benefit of that, and to give it a go. And that's what I'm doing at the moment.
Yeah. Okay. We'll come on to that. So, right. Okay. So is there we've spoken about the industry, is there any thing that you've seen from a change point of view of how maybe projects are delivered that's different now than in your dad's day?
Yeah, I think probably the change that I'm noticing is things like ticketing systems and actually managing repairs effectively. In the modern factor business, you manage repairs through Outlook, which is not a management tool, is what I've learned. And we thought it was brilliant until we found out about ticketing. And moving into that has opened our eyes somewhat as to how we can be ably assisted and be much more effective and actually be much more efficient. And part of what we are doing now in Newton is it's a confidence building exercise with our customers, and actually trying, factors there's a negativity about factors. I'm going to break that. I'm going to break it. And I am. And people say it's impossible. It ain't. Nothing's impossible. Just because it hasn't been done doesn't mean to say it's impossible. And that's one of the few missions that I've got in the business to change. And at the forefront of that is tech. And I don't, I'm a luddite. I don't know how to do it. I can barely do a JPEG or whatever, but I know what it now needs to do for me. And that's the important thing. And I'm a believer.
Yeah, I mean, I think this was something I saw on a podcast the other day. How can you lead people when you don't understand what they do? Well, of course you can, because that's what's making you a good leader. That's what good leaders are. They're people who can bring change and bring people together who actually know how to do it and take them on the journey. Okay, right, let's move on. So you're out of retirement now, back working on the tools. I think that's your phrase. How's it going? And more importantly, what prompted the decision to go to come out of retirement?
I retired at 60. I informed my co-directors at 58. I was leaving a couple of years. My decision to retire was that I felt that there's more to life than business, and I love the game. I love business. So I retired to Bali, and I lived there for 8 years.
Right.
What pulled me out of Bali and brought me back to Woodside Crescent, sitting here with Brian? Well, there was change in the business. To be honest, I was party to driving change in Newton from afar. And I suppose the slight frustration of being remote was actually very useful. It brought worry and it brought concern. But also, I mean, I started my day in Bali. I was up at 5. I was on the beach at 6. It sounds great. I'd walk for an hour and a half. And that literally was my blue sky thinking time. And to be honest, I left Glasgow and I left the business, but I never left Newton, honestly. It's my baby. I think I thought about it all the time. I was there. I probably obsessively. So moving on as to why to come back, we then had a look at the board and the structure of the company. We reformed it for tomorrow. I also brought in, or what came along was my directors, started to include Kirsten, my older daughter. She's been a director for 10 years. She's people director. Rachel came on board as business development. She does company acquisitions and new business instructions. You know, they've got the same kind of mindset as me. You know, they do. And so we then the culture started to evolve to at last being the culture that I wanted Newton to be in the 1st of October 2001 when I started it. And I then, over and above that, Vinny Goldie, who's our CEO, and he's been a find, a veritable find. And I know he works closely with you, and he has tremendous respect of you, and he's really enjoying working with you and everybody here. And Vinny and I spoke the same business language. And so the business, Vinny came in as the CFO, and he very quickly rattled up the ranks to become CEO. And he's been a find. We work beautifully together, and we now have a group of, I would say, fairly dynamic people that are go ahead, that are energised, but, you know, that are decent as well. We're very principled. And I don't mean that in a corny way. I just want to do it right. You know, so it's actually become the exciting business that I always wished and I always wanted it to be. And we're going places.
And your day-to-day then now, what does that involve?
Day-to-day, I'm in at least 3 days a week, sometimes 5. I spend an awful lot of time in a leadership role. I spend a lot of time working closely with we've got 85 people now working with us, and I spend an awful lot of time with everybody. I believe that everybody in this world is much more important than we ourselves can ever be. And I think success, we tend to lose ourselves amongst our own success and forget about others. So, for example, every new start I'll spend 40, 45 minutes with. Every new start I'll be back in again and chatting with them. They're not allowed to call me Mr. O'Neill. I say, call me Mr. O'Neill, sir. No, they're not allowed to call me Mr. O'Neill. It's Stephen. You know, we have an informal formality about the business. And I want people, my mission in Newton is to make it the best place to work in Scotland. Really, now, whether I achieve it or not, I don't care. If I get a way down that path, bingo. And I also want to be the best employer in the country, and I want to be the best service provider in the country. It doesn't matter what business. That's my mission, and that's what I'm working on. And I'm trying to ably help Vinny do that on the more personal level, human level.
That's brilliant. That's really exciting. I have to come back to something you said there. Whenever anyone calls me Mr. Welsh, I look around and ask where my father is. I'm just like, I'm just not. People call me lots of other things other than Brian, but Mr. Welsh is just hilarious when I hear that. You've mentioned, and I know you help with these questions. So you mentioned you're a self-confessed luddite, an elder statesman. How do you embrace change then?
I'm determined for change. I drive change as much as I can. It's about, say for example, ticketing. I just didn't get it, but I had to help push it. It didn't really take much pushing. And it wasn't until we started seeing this coming in that we saw that we've seen the benefits of it. And actually, I think at my age, I've really got to drive. See, what tech I can bring to us is it can remove so many of the processes that we have and allow us to be more professional, to be more human, and get on with the job of doing what we're supposed to do. It can also take by removing, I mean, we're a data company. For God's sake, we've got 40,000 customers. So we've got it's all data in our business. So if we can actually manage the data much more effectively and efficiently, instead of having people doing it, and then we can help train we've got a Newton Academy now, and we can train our people up to be doing better, to feel better about themselves, then we can provide a better service. So it's a kind of, it's always opening your mind and opening your eyes and, trying to learn more and to achieve more.
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, at the end of the day, right? So our job, talking about CPL, as a provider of tech to an industry, it is our job to take away all that manual processing. It's our job to make people as efficient as they want to be. Now, if they then decide to go, oh, wow, I can make an extra 100 grand a month or 100 grand a year profit, I'll stick that in my back pocket, then that's their decision. But what most people that I speak to about effecting change from a technology point of view is it gives them more time and money to invest in the customer side of their business. And that's really what they should be doing. I mean, this is about the customer. You've got 40,000 of them. It's about the customer, right?
It is. And, if you look at any property factors business Scotland-wide, and we have an analysis done every year. We have a snapshot with 2,000 customers every year spoken to by a consultant that we use. And ourselves, like everybody else, we've got a lot to do. We've got a lot to build and we've got a lot to develop. But like us and everybody else, the biggest problem is communication. When we're taking business off other companies, the foundation stone of their concern is communication. Do you know that, you must know, but what I've learned is that tech can be the thing that helps bring our communication, because it can free us up to communicate. And, and it's not about being on the phone all the time, and it's about communicating out the way. It's not answering a phone. It's not answering an email. It's not answering through the app. It's actually having a flow of information to the customers. And that frees us up to manage properties effectively. And what it also does, which I think we overlooked, and this is what I think a very important part of your role in my business, is it helps build trust. Clients give us business. Customers are the people we look after. And it helps customers build trust in us because they're getting a flow of information out from us that we're not actually doing it. You're doing it, Brian.
No, I get it. But it's the process, though, isn't it? It's the process of actually putting stuff out there proactively and hopefully cutting down the inbound stuff. Because it's the inbound stuff that tends to be, I mean, most people don't phone their factor to say, well done, you're doing a great job, right? So unfortunately, I mean, it would be nice if they did. And I'm sure some people do, but most of the stuff coming in is because of X, Y, or Z. So actually proactive communication the other way.
That's exactly. And actually, I think we don't look at the problem. The root of the problem is the proactivity. And actually what I think we analyse all our calls, emails, everything. We had a data analyst analyse everything in our business 9 months ago. We're really going for it at the moment. But actually, we always looked at the problem, but not what the problem really was. The problem really was. And if we can, embed ourselves deeper with you, then we're going to make a better job of what we are doing. And it's actually, believing in that. And as I said, and I'm not, blowing smoke up your ass. We're believers now. It's taken me 20 years.
20 years of paying your bill and you now believe. Right, that's good. No, I mean, it's funny because I had a conversation with someone the other day and they said, there's a bit of feedback that, it was another business, it wasn't CPL, there's a bit of feedback that we need more people. And I'm like, right, well, why do you need more people? And they said, well, they say that they're too busy. And I'm like, okay, so but what is it that's making them busy? Because so many companies, they just throw people at a problem instead of actually understanding what the actual problem is.
And that's why we got the data scientists to look at us and to analyse what everybody was doing, in all elements of what. And then we restructured the whole business. We've got offices in Inverness and Aberdeen, now in Greenock, Glasgow, and we reshaped our business from a very mathematical, considered, structured, business-like way with tech as the root of our success.
Okay, cool, excellent. Right, next question. Okay, every time I read this question, because we ask this quite a lot, I think this is a long way away, but Christ, it's not really, is it? What about the future? What major changes do you foresee happening by 2030, which is actually not that far away?
I think the way we are mapping ourselves, I think there's huge changes ahead of, as I said earlier, we've never seen such rapid change as we have with tech. Every 6 months there's something better on the shelves, and there's actually something better that we should almost be buying. I think that by dint of the fact we're embracing it and wanting to do more and more, I think we're going to be more tech-based. But what I want Newton to be is tech-based with a delicate human touch. Yeah. I always want somebody to be at the other end of the phone, or somebody to be out looking at developments. I don't want to become like, elect a utility company or the council tax where you can't speak to anybody. Yeah. I think it's very important is we have to remember the forgotten few. 15% of our customers, maybe 18%, are aged 65, 70, who are Luddites like me. And I suppose being a Luddite, I've got to try and help support them. Yeah. And I want to provide for them. I want to provide for the ones that just can't use it and feel embarrassed about asking their nephew to come up to the house and sort out their bill. I don't want it. I can see too many people completely embracing it. We're not going to be like that. That's not going to work. I think we're going to be slick. We're going to use everything we've got at our disposal. Yeah. There's lots more to do. You're doing loads. Yeah. We had a meeting yesterday about something that you're doing that's just brilliant. Right, okay. With a kind of partner, understand. But it's just that, use more, work with it more. But the key is, and everybody says this and we never do it, is really use it. Get it, learn it, build it, develop it, and work with it. And if you work with it, your business is going to be a success if that is your backbone. Tech.
Okay, good. No, that's interesting. I think the older demographic is a very good example because when in 20 years' time, that's not going to be a challenge because the people who are there are going to have grown up on tech. And
but they might be 20 years out of date as well by then. Complacency builds in with age.
Yeah, but it's going to reduce.
Yes.
So you're going to have that kind of few that you have that issue with that you need to provide an alternative to probably the mainstream.
From a business point of view, I think that 20 years is important for Newton to get ahead of the pack and actually lead, do something different, not for the sake of it being different. Embrace these ideas, work with them, listen to you, help you develop your ideas, and take something brilliant and make it awesome. That's what I think we should be doing.
I mean, we have a number of clients who effectively we run innovation sessions with and all of these sort of things, and they do embrace technology, and that is excellent for us because you've got early adopters who want to take new products, who want to help you through that process, which is brilliant. But it has to be said that's not the chunk of the market that does that. From a customer base, from a CPL point of view. So finding, because normally people install a product and go, it works, right? But that's not, you need to evolve it. So actually finding, and there's no way all of your customers are going to be in that boat because most of your customers are going to be in the boat of, okay, we've got it, we've made the leap, we've done it, it's now doing X, Y, Z for us. And they don't necessarily look ahead. So finding people in an industry, certainly from a tech point of view, who are that proactive, and we have 2 or 3, it has to be said, that are that proactive, that can only be a good thing for us. It can only be a good thing for our customers, and it can only be a good thing for your customers as well. Yeah. Okay, right. Moving on. Okay, well, I think we've maybe covered this, but tell me if there's anything else that you want to talk about. How do you think automation and digitisation will impact the landscape in the next 6 years? I think we've probably covered it, but is there anything else?
Yeah, we have. We know it's going to be transformation, and it's going to be the foundation stone for the successful property factors business of tomorrow, undoubtedly. And actually, I think some of the companies that do lead, one of the things you say, I think what you said there. We have a few companies which are maybe out there which will take it up. If you can get strong companies that are taking up, and then the competition is looking over the shoulder, and maybe the complacent competition, they're the ones that are going to have to buy into your ideas. But actually, it's not just buying what it is from you; it's using what you have, and actually coming back and saying, "Look, Brian, we have meetings with you frequently. We get one the next day or two, one the last couple of days."
No, but Tom's in this afternoon, I think, actually.
And it's about you helping us and us helping you, and at the end of the day, by dint of that, you get more business from us.
No, absolutely. And at the end of the day, it is a partnership. And I've always said that software providers, in fact, we've had strap lines, not just software. We've had strap lines of partners to block management and factoring, and that's who we are. I mean, but find the challenge until you get to a point of size within a business. And this is the challenge we find a lot from a technical software point of view, is that everybody has a day job, within a property factor. So actually effecting change is not someone's day job in a smaller factor. So trying to get someone to then take on things and have the time to engage in it and make it happen actually becomes quite difficult. So you've then got a couple of choices. Again, it comes back to if I employ someone at, 50 grand a year to put into this role, I don't know what it costs, so that's maybe a bit silly saying that. But that's a 50 grand cost. If you think that's a cost, then you're never going to do it. If you see that as an opportunity and a way to affect change, give your customers better service, cut down the inefficiencies of your business, then you've got the right mindset to go on. Or I guess you can go to an external consultant as well to help you do that. But so we certainly tend to find that it's our larger customers like yourselves who are the ones that have the time to think about these sort of things and affect change. And, it's entirely different as well to the way in which I observed this when I had a legal software business. I always remember years and years and years ago, I had this customer. He was tiny. He was a one-man band. There was one principal, and he put all of this tech in, all of this efficiency, And 10 years later, he was still the only principal. He must have had 50 people working for him.
Really?
But his tech worked that well, and his efficiencies were better than the big boys. It was just unbelievable. But he understood the value of getting that right to begin with. Most people just want to get rid of the fact that they're doing invoices on spreadsheets or through Xero or something like that, which is absolutely not designed in any way, shape or form for the factoring business. So I think you've got to make the decision that you want to affect change, and you can suffer, or not suffer, but invest the money to make that happen.
Well, that's interesting because similarly, through CEO Vinnie Goldie, we brought on Callum, who's our tech lead that you work closely with. Yeah. It's interesting as I watch my business and reshape itself. Vinnie and Callum have about half an hour to 1 hour together every single day.
Yeah,
every day. So we opened our eyes to eventually we were convinced to bring in a tech lead. And through Callum, we very quickly brought Declan in now. Okay. We've extended that department.
Okay, wow.
And actually, again, it's just all of a sudden we've become believers. Vinny understood it.
Yeah.
That's what he helped bring to our party and help develop the business. But it took a wee bit of time. That was 23 years before we got a tech lead in. Yeah. And it's our tech, solutions, work, everything we do has been transformative in the last 12 months. Yeah. I mean, I was probably terrified of it and probably not even a luddite. I was just scared of it, feared of it. Yeah. And now I love it.
But it's having.
Still can't use it.
It's having the vision and having someone else to deliver it, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so where we go now? Okay, so how has the landscape changed in terms of property ownership and responsibilities and legislation since you started in the industry? Is that something we can talk about?
Yeah, I think legislation. The business when I started in it in 2001 I'd actually O'Neill's before a lighting company, and had a wee corner that did factoring. So I've been doing it since the mid-90s. There was no legislation. It was a free-for-all, and it has changed a lot, and regulation is brilliant. I think there's still a lot more to be done. I actually think there's a lot more to be done around floats. And we bought about 15 companies in the last 17 years. Our float, we do a float report every month. Our float's always 120%. We've a profit formula, 30-30-30. We keep 30% of our profit in the business, 30% for tax and 30% for dividends. We're always quite well resourced. Almost every one of the companies that we bought from reserves. We didn't have to go to the bank. However, of the 15 or so companies we bought, 12 had missing or no floats.
Right, wow. Okay.
And I think that itself could blow up someday. Some big company going fut because, and where have they gone? They've usually gone to Tenerife as a 5-star holiday, flying business class. And that's not us, and it never will be us. We've been fairly good, but I think I embrace change. I embrace change around the new tenement laws coming in with a resident association thing. Our best managed developments are one where there are resident associations. So things like that I love, and I think it brings. I think what more legislation can bring is greater control, and greater control does weed out the weak. And it can also be a barrier to people coming in. It's quite a cash-intensive business. I mean, we unusually, when I started it in 2001, I'd sold, luckily, O'Neill's Lighting, and I won a watch there. I sold it well. And we put a fair old amount of dosh, real dosh, and we put £120,000 in we bought a worth of shares. And so we were very well funded because you can see a lot of the new entrants are always funding from float, hand to mouth. And I want to see people get on, and I want to see what, new entrants bring new competition. They keep me ahead of the game. They keep me on my toes. And I never want to be complacent in business.
No, you're right. I'm just going to have to explain a saying you just used because some people might not get it. I was in a meeting the other day, and someone said, I better do this correctly or I'll get my jotters. And Tom looked at me and I went, it means you'll get fired. And about 10 people around the table didn't actually understand it. And you just used the one a watch. I think that's a very Glasgow saying, isn't it? Or it's a very Scottish saying, meaning you were very fortunate. Yes. I thought I'd just explain that one. I come out with these howlers as well, or not howlers. I come out with these sayings that people are like, what are you talking about, Brian? In fact,
at least they'll remember you if you come out with something like that.
To be fair, I think we were on a call the other morning. And I mean, we're a national. I mean, we're spread up and down the country. I mean, all three. I mean, the most furthest north. There's 4 directions in this company. The most furthest north, apart from me when I'm here, is kind of just north of London. So there's kind of west and south.
In property management.
In this company. So in CPL. So Will's south coast, and then kind of coming up. And so I come out with phrases, and people are like, I think we need a sort of Scottish translation, a Brian translation to the rest of the business sometimes. But no, coming back to that. So actually, this is quite interesting because one of the things legislation was obviously meant to do was to regulate, make sure there was no, let's call it inappropriate dealings going on, yet you're still buying businesses that have float issues.
And one of the reasons that they're for sale.
Yeah, because they can't fund themselves.
Yeah.
So do you think legislation hasn't gone far enough then?
I think it hasn't gone far enough. And I'm quite comfortable if there's more. The one thing about Newton is we've always tried to play within the rules. That's just it. And just try and be straight hitters. And if we can't afford it, we can wait.
But then, having said that, if there's 5 or 6 businesses out there who are not managing floats correctly or whatever, they just appear on your acquisition list a bit sooner, right?
They do. You can get a smell for them. You can smell that they're there.
Yeah. Okay. Let's not go down there. But you have been very acquisitive of late. It has to be said. Okay. So I got a couple of questions for you.
We bought another one last week.
Yes,
Aberdeen.
yes,
So
I
it
heard.
hasn't,
We're
announced yet. Yeah.
Is it not been announced? Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
it's
currently
this
working on
week.
your
Yeah, yeah,
migration. So,
yeah.
I didn't realise it hadn't been announced. We will not talk about it here then. Okay.
Well, it's what I'm paid for, but just
no, that's fine.
we're just getting the wording right of
Oh, no, all right, okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Good to know. No, I know the team are working on your migration at the moment. Okay, so let's talk about AI, artificial intelligence. Do you ever see a time when property managers are replaced by that? Or do you think it's a tool?
I think it's a tool. I think, and I feel that people still want the human touch, and so I think we can use it to our advantage. But I'm not going to endorse the fact that it takes over my business and it's going to be, it's going to be completely automated. I don't think it ever will be, and I think if we can use it as much as we possibly can, I still don't have my head around it yet, but as much as we possibly can, I think we can win out of it. But as I said to you earlier, I want to be tech smart. I want to be ahead of the game tech-wise. I want to be your best customer tech-wise with a delicate human touch.
Okay, understood. All right, so one last question. And this is something that we ask some people on the podcast. So tell us something about you that people are generally surprised to find out about you.
I'm an ace on the flying trapeze. And I can still
amazing.
Yeah, I can still do at my tender years a backflip, which is going from one trapeze to the other above the pool in the Western Baths and knock it off and fly backwards and then turn around and catch it going the other way. I don't catch it with my teeth. I catch it. And in fact, the heralds when I sold O'Neill's back in 2000.
We are being serious here, right?
I'm being serious. I've got a photograph here. I'll be sitting on the trapeze. The Herald did a 2-page photo-led article in their magazine about me being a businessman and a circus act.
That's amazing. I did not know that.
Yeah, and I still do the travelling rings above the water at the baths. Yeah. I used to be able to do a somersault between the. I was a show off. Yeah, I really was.
You're not surprising. You're not surprising me, Stephen. So.
No, honestly, I am. So that's one of the few things I've got hidden away.
Wow, that's amazing.
And in life, I think we should always try and achieve something else. There's always, my quest to Bali. I'd been to Bali loads of times. I thought it was a great place. That was just part of the adventure of life.
Yeah.
And my adventure at the moment is much more family and business focused. And great to see the girls shine. My son Connor, he's gone down a more artistic route.
Okay.
And I want my life to be exciting. Yeah. Till it can be.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. Someone asked me recently if they thought I would ever retire. And I just can't ever imagine playing golf 5 times a week. I mean, I pay a golf membership. I think I had 7 games.
I can't imagine either because I heard you weren't very good at golf.
No. Well, to be fair, the last 2 rounds have been okay. The 7 before that were shite, I'll tell you, absolutely. But someone asked me, and I'm like, I just can't ever see it happen. Yeah. I mean, I did 2 investments in the last month, 2 months. I just can't ever imagine not waking up and having that drive when you wake up in the morning.
I can completely relate to that. I left, as I said, 8 years ago, and back on the tools. Back enjoying it. My brain works like that, and so does yours. Yeah. And that's just the way it is. And you will always be like that. And I never really left. I was in another continent, and you're the same. And it's actually, as I said, that's about achievement as well. And it's about motivation. I don't read business books. I just get up. I'm like a wound up spring. You're the same. Yeah, you don't need to read it. It's just, you've got it. Yeah. And we're lucky to have that. And it stimulates us and excites us.
Yeah, no, it does. Absolutely. Okay, on that fabulous note, we'll leave it. Thank you very much for coming on, Stephen.
Pleasure. I really enjoyed it. Lovely.
So did I.
Thank you.